Today is our fifth in our monthly webinar series, AI Confection. Basically the idea behind the series is to give like really practical advice to business owners, to senior business leaders about AI, and where it's targeted at kind of small and medium-sized businesses. So it's really practical stuff. None of this like high level, like AI is coming. It's just about making nice steps towards integrating AI and automation into your business. Today we are talking more about Microsoft Power Apps. Just before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. Do keep your audio off. If you've got any comments, it'd be great to put them in the chat. There will be some time at the end to talk through your comments. And I think we're going to be 45 minutes today, with maybe 15 minutes for questions at the end. So just going through the flow. So first of all, I'm going to kick off, just give you a very brief introduction to Blue Llama and what we do, and then introduce the problem of the problem that Power Apps kind of we think is tackling. Then we'll go into a little bit of detail about what Power Apps is, how it fits in with other Microsoft tools, the other Power Platform tools, and why and when you would use it. Then I'm going to hand over to my colleague Anish, and he is going to look through or present two demos of projects that we undertook in the last 6 months or so. And these ones have got productivity grant. So in Jersey, there's a productivity grant, and they've got funding from the productivity grant. And there's productivity grant is opening up again this year, so it could be something that your business could possibly take out a grant for as well. So those two demos are EYECAN, which so it's a very manual, kind of messy manual process that they had for voucher redemption, which we've streamlined, and then D2 Real Estate. They used to go around electricity meters and take photos of them and write them down on a scrappy piece of paper, and we've kind of automated that process now. And then what we would like to do, so something a little bit different to make it a bit more interactive today, is towards the end, we would like you to bring your kind of app ideas. If there's anything triggers and you go, oh yeah, in my business, it'd be great if we could create this app. If you could just bring that to the table, and then we can maybe chat it through, see if it could be a potential Power Apps project for you guys to undertake. So it'd be good, yeah, just to have some ideas from you guys, and we can chat those through and see if it's got potential. So excuse me. So someone told me that people only remember your business for like 2 or 3 words. So it made me think, what 2 or 3 words could we use to describe Blue Llama? And what I came up with quite quickly really was AI-powered productivity. So that's what we're all about. So really there's kind of 2 big parts to that. There's many others, but 2 big parts are process automation. So that's taking your existing business processes, analyzing how that existing process works, breaking it down into its individual components, and then rebuild that whole process again afresh, but using better integration between your systems, using a little bit of AI magic in there to do some decision making, and the end result being, you know, freeing up your team so that there's much more time for them to focus on higher value work. The other side is AI assistants, or co-pilots, as Microsoft would like to call it, and that's building these tools that empower your team internally, so they understand more information about your business. So AI, as you know, using ChatGPT is very good at general stuff, but we like to train these AI assistants so they understand your business. So that can help your team to get instant answers on questions, or it can help your customers to get a better customer experience. And on top of all of that, of course, what we do is identify opportunities. So a lot of businesses we find at the moment just don't know where to start with AI and automation, and we can come in and help identify different opportunities and prioritize those opportunities for them. Often what we're seeing is starting with a really small project, kind of build confidence, and then that can lead to other bigger projects. So I'm just going to take a bit of water. So the problem that we are tackling today, this is about bespoke manual processes. So you have these processes within your organization which are often repetitive, they're mundane, people don't enjoy doing them, but they need to be done. And you've probably looked into off-the-shelf tools. So there might be some SaaS software or something UK-based, American-based. You've tried that, but it's too rigid. It doesn't really fit, and you have to change your process to fit the tool rather than the other way around. There's also things like Jersey nuances, like we have different tax over here, we have different laws, different regulations, supply chain, all of these kind of things mean that a lot of these tools don't quite work for Jersey businesses. But historically, when you looked into building custom tools, they have been expensive, they're big projects, they take a long time, and that can be just too risky, and you're not sure on the return of investment. So the solution, or the new opportunity that we have, is this new era of what's called low-code and no-code tools. So these are typically sort of drag and drop things where you can build interfaces, you can connect to different data got and different systems without the need to do any coding whatsoever. Microsoft calls this the citizen developer. So it's taking Claire in your HR department, she can create a recruitment app, or Jeremy in accounts or something, he can develop an invoice processing tool. And these tools can be tailored exactly to how your business does stuff, right? Because they're the guys that are doing the process, and so they know exactly what needs to be done. Using these no-code and low-code tools is much faster and cheaper than development has been historically. You don't need your big team of developers writing that code. And as I've said multiple times, and probably will say some more, they're customized to fit your business, and it's bespoke to you rather than finding a tool that that doesn't quite fit. So there are different types of tools that can fix this kind of dilemma. There's lots of low code and no code tools out there, but the one that really sticks out for us is the Microsoft Power Platform. So this is a suite of 5 tools from Microsoft. They all nicely fit together, and they're all kind of designed to be easy to use. So as I said, they're no and low code solutions. So very quickly to go through these before we tackle the one that is the topic of today, you've got Power BI, which a lot of you may have heard of. So this is about data visualization. So it's creating nice visual reports, KPI dashboards, bringing data together from various different systems, from your CRM, from your accounting system, all that kind of stuff, to create rich management reporting. You've got Power Automate. So this is something that we've talked about in previous webinars. It's about creating workflows that integrate systems together in this kind of, if this happens, then do that type flow. But of course, you can add AI into that as well to make some sort of intelligent decision making as well. You've got Power Pages, which so these other tools are kind of for internal purposes, but Power Pages allows you to sort of publish data and publish information to the public. So that can be just a public web page, or it can be through a portal. So you can allow your customers to log in and see certain information. Then you've got Copilot Studio, which we talked about, creating these AI assistants, and that's how we tend to do that. So it's like, yeah, taking the power of generative AI and creating tools that can assist your team to do things quicker and get information much more quicker through asking questions of a chatbot. And then we've got the big one that we're going to talk about today, which is Power Apps, and that's so the 2 demos that I'm doing in a little bit are based around Power Apps. So what do Power Apps allow you to do? So you can build purpose-built business applications that connect data and systems you already use. So Power Apps can connect to SharePoint, to Excel, to a SQL database, or with different connectors to any data source. So it can bring information from different systems. And what it does is it gives people a clear front end, so a user interface to view that information and then take action on it. It's building an application. Behind the scenes, those actions can trigger workflows. So people can update data, they could send an email, they can push data into other systems. It just allows you to trigger these kind of automations. And then the end result is empowering your team to run automations in a consistent way that's aligned with your business. So it's taking your existing processes, building a tool that you can use to trigger those processes in a consistent and easy way. So going back to the Power Platform, why would you use the Power Platform over other tools out there? So first of all, it's integrated, so it works beautifully with other Microsoft tools, Outlook, your calendar, Excel, SharePoint, but it can also be integrated with tools outside the Microsoft environment, so it could be Xero or Salesforce or HubSpot. It's secure and compliant, so the data stays within your Microsoft tenant, so it's as secure as like you're using your Outlook email. Other tools, like if people in your company may be using what we call shadow AI or shadow IT, and that's a real concern for your IT department because data can be sent in all different types of to all different places and could be a GDPR nightmare. Something that Microsoft does really well is the control of that data, so that you have users and roles and you can specify what they can and can't do. So these apps also sit nicely upon that, and there's also audit trails and all this reporting that you can do to see where your information is, what's being done with your information. Microsoft is investing heavily in these platforms, so they're not going to go away anytime soon, and also investing massively in AI generally. And these tools are AI native, so the Microsoft doesn't have its own AI, but it uses ChatGPT and Claude, and these tools can get access to that. And again, that information isn't being sent out to OpenAI as such; it stays within your Microsoft tenant. And then lastly, super scalable. So you can create a very, very simple, take half a day to create a nice little app that does something that saves you sort of 10, 15 minutes a day. But you can also build very powerful applications from this that power a whole department or business. As I said before, we recommend that you start small and you build confidence. So, what I've spoken about here is this kind of new era of low-code and no-code development, and that there's this suite of tools that can make things much easier and cheaper to develop custom tools. Talked about Power Apps. And talked about the Power Platform, and in particular Power Apps, and how that can be used to create a front end for your business processes. So now I'm going to hand over to Anish, and he's going to walk you through these two demos that we talked about. So EYECAN and G2 Real Estate. And just before I go on, do remember that if any ideas spring to mind of an app that could be useful within your business, then do bring it up and we'll happily talk that through. Anish, over to you.
Great. Hello, everybody. And thank you for joining today's webinar. Very excited to walk you through these two demos. Just sharing my screen now. As Phil mentioned, it would be really great if you can think of potentially some use cases that you find could help streamline certain workflows similar to the ones that I'm going to share. And just to add to that, when it comes to use cases, typical ones tend to be around HR systems or onboarding, or around financial systems that you might want to have external applications to support within that business process. So I'm going to go through two main use cases. EYECAN, which is a charity that supports children and individuals. Then there's D2 Real Estate, which is an estate agency. Now, two very different companies, organizations in different sectors, however, share a very common problem, which is a manual workflow that can be quite inefficient and cumbersome to certain staff members, but also external individuals. So with EYECAN, they work with the opticians as well as the internal staff who need to process information, specifically the vouchers that they provide to kind of subsidize glasses for children. And then there is D2 Real Estate, and they also share the problem of a manual workflow that is cumbersome for contractors going out to do meter readings, but also for internal staff members who have to update their database and records. Both share a process of using different systems, Microsoft being one, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, as a kind of a database for updating things, but manual data entry, again, a common problem that both share. But you'll see how the solutions that we've designed are very unique to each organization, but with the focus of streamlining that process and making it an intuitive experience for the external individuals, such as the contractors or the opticians, but also for the internal staff members, where they have to do less, but also get more value from that process. So I'll start with EYECAN, and the way that I will go through both demos of the Power App is show what they were doing in the past and that cumbersome process, versus the Power App solution that we've designed and supported them with. So we'll start with EYECAN, and I'll go through their process. So what they would typically do is the parents or the parent will come with the child, and they would have this paper voucher, and they will fill out the details. So they would put in the parent's name, the date of the claiming of the voucher, and then the social security number and the date of birth of the child. So this will be handwritten on a piece of paper. Just a quick disclaimer, everything here is going to be obviously dummy data, so nothing is personal information, it's all dummy data. Once the paper voucher has been filled, then the optician would take that and scan it and have a digital copy onto the computer. They will then have to go out and send an email to the EYECAN team. Once that email has been sent, EYECAN team will receive it, and then this is where it becomes a bit more of a cumbersome process for the EYECAN team, in which they will still first do in the kind of initial visual check, and they will look at, let's say, for example, the JY number, the social security number, and check, is it less than the first digit? It's less than 4. They'll know that it's for an adult, and maybe the parent had got the wrong JY number, or the date of birth might be today's date. A common mistake that we hear. In case of those mistakes, it would have to go back to the optician. The optician will have to follow up with the parent and say, can you fill out the right date of birth or the right JY? If it's correct, then they would actually go into the Excel spreadsheet, add the information there, and there are 2 checks that has to happen. The first one is, has that child with that JY number made a claim within the last 12 months? So they would go through the JY numbers, and they have a formula there, and that might be a little bit more efficient to do than doing a manual check, but they still have to add it into the information, check it to see if that claim hasn't been made in the last 12 months. If it has been made in the last 12 months, it will go back to the optician. Then they need to double check that the child is under the age of 12 years old. So they'll look at the date of birth and make that check as well. Again, if the child is above 12, then it will go back to the opticians, and then the opticians will have to follow up with the parents. If everything is correct, then the EYECAN team will send an email to the optician to authorize payment, and then same process, paper form voucher with a reference, scan, email, back to the EYECAN team. EYECAN team receive it within X many days, could be more, and they will then update the Excel document to notes to the finance team in EYECAN to process this into Xero. So I'm already tired speaking about it. I imagine the EYECAN team will be very tired having to go through this process. If it's maybe one a month of a voucher, if it's maybe one every couple of weeks, it's not too big of a deal. But when you have around about 10 a day, you can see it adds a lot of time, effort, and energy for the EYECAN team, as well as the opticians as well. So when we thought about the solution, we felt it had to be something that would be easy to engage with the opticians, but also those verification checks could happen in real time rather than within the EYECAN team. So this is where Power Apps played a very important part in finding the solution. In addition to that, we knew with Power Apps, its capabilities, it could easily integrate into Power Automate, which means within the buttons of a Power App application, you can trigger automation. So for example, we can send emails or we can integrate into different systems and send information there. The second thing is it can integrate into things like SharePoint, which means the database management is a lot more intuitive and easy to use for the EYECAN team. And the automations that we have in place is we send out an email to notify the EYECAN team when maybe a payment needs to be made or approved, or maybe there's an issue with the voucher. But in addition to that, there was an opportunity that they couldn't do with their manual process, is actually take the information of the parent and promote the charity to increase brand awareness. So there was also an opportunity here to automate that process to support the charity. And as well, we were able to have the invoice, once approved, automatically go into Xero without anybody having to go into a database, into a spreadsheet, check, and then go into to Xero and update it. So we saved a lot of time there. So based on the value and the impact we've created, it was a very easy application for EYECAN to have the productivity grant approved. Time saving, we can see this being around 5 hours a week with 10 vouchers a day, about 5 to 10 minutes per voucher. Okay, so I'm going to jump into a demo. The first thing I'm going to do in the demo is just give you an understanding of what Power Apps is on a visual basis. So you can see the Power Apps here. This is the visual kind of canvas in which we use to build the EYECAN from. The application from, and you can see, you can click into it, you can change the text here, you can go in, change the text here. You have different screens for different pages. So this is the voucher screen, this is the invoice screen, and then you have buttons, you can change the colors here. So it's very no code, intuitive and user friendly. Of course, it's not going to be something that anyone can do like on a paint or like the kind of vibe coding that you can see on different applications. Now, it does require some level of knowledge and expertise and experience in using Power Apps, but it's a definitely easier way to develop applications than hard coding with a bunch of software engineers to build an application. And as Phil mentioned, it integrates within all of your Microsoft suite, so you can get up and going within half a day with an application. Fairly straightforward and easy. I'm now going to show you a demo of the actual solution. So if we show you here, so you can see we've kind of created a demo site here, so we can actually embed the application. It is fully authenticated, so someone does need to have a Microsoft license to access it. So they can't be open to the public to sign up or anything like that. Once they logged in, you can see the application here. So I'm going to give you an example of the flow, how we've done it for the opticians and made it easier for EYECAN team. So let's say a parent and a child has come to the opticians to fill out the voucher, and the optician loads up the screen. They can go in and click create new voucher. And then the optician will just ask the details. So there's no writing on a piece of paper here. So we can say Peter Jones is the parent's name, and we can say Peter Jones at email.com. And then we can say the voucher claim date is for today. Great, first validation. And then we can put the child's name. So we can put it Adam Jones, and then child date of birth. So here we can do the first check. So let's say, for example, we put it for 2010. And we click OK. We can see the child must be below 12 years old is the first check. So that doesn't need to go to EYECAN to do the verification. We can do that in real time. So we can say 2020, and we can see that's fine. Then it's the child security number, and then we could do JY. And then if we do 2, and then we add it all here, it won't allow it because it knows anything below 4, it should not be allowed. So if we add 4 here, it will be correct. So it has these verification methods. So again, saves the time for the EYECAN team. So if we put total cost of glasses, 200, and then the amount claimed can only be up to 150, and let's say they put 175, you can see there's another validation and it doesn't allow them to submit. So if we put 150, and then we can say I confirm and agree with the terms and conditions, and we can click submit. I'm just going to copy this to show you how we can validate if a JY number has been used in the last 12 months for another application. So if I click submit, we can see the voucher check is successful. Here's your voucher ID. And so that's gone through. So if I just quickly do another one very quickly and show you how the validation check works. So just do pizza@jones.com and then just quickly fill this out. And then I'm just going to paste the one I've just used, and you see how it will automatically recognize. So another thing here is that parents might go to different opticians 6 months ago and come to another opticians and not remember that they've used the JY number. So the database where it's uploaded is within the database. So you know, it would make sense to just validate it as, and you can see it here, but there could be a different opticians that they've used 6 months ago, and each opticians cannot access another optician's set of data. So what happens here is, if I go in and just do that, there is an automation check that goes that happens. So if I click submit, it will check and it will reject it. This voucher check is unsuccessful. A claim for the same social security number was made, and it shows you the date, which is today. Claims must be at least 12 months apart. So the reason why we don't do it live is because we don't want to show that data there and then, and the automation trigger has to happen in order for that to work. So let's say, for example, Adam Jones, voucher ID 1205. If I go to payments, they can then go rest the payment from that for that child, so 1205, and then once they click submit, that will be processed, and then it will go into 0 for approval. So that happens in real time, no back and forth on emails, and that process can save from 10 minutes of voucher down to seconds being applied and processed. They can also save the voucher. So let's say, for example, the parent forgot the JY number in the opticians, they can click save, they can come back and they can update that and then submit it. So all of this functionality is available within the Power Apps application. Great, so that's the Power Apps. I'm just going to run through now the completely different scenario, but still using the same application. So here with the D2R state, a contractor will go into several different buildings and take meter readings. So here they would typically write it down or sometimes take pictures that were very hard to read. But once they've taken the pictures, they'll add the attachment, send it as an email to the D2 team. Once the D2 team receive it, they would have a backlog of emails for many different properties, and they would click on each of those emails and then have to go in and look at the attachments or the meters that have been written up. Once they've done that, they would then have to go to their spreadsheet and they would update each meter reading for each of the buildings based on the screenshot that they have been provided, or the picture that they provided. And again, sometimes the pictures would have bad quality, which would mean that they would have to go back to the contractor and ask them to either retake it or try to help them codify the meter reading. Once it's added, they would have to add it to another system that is also part of their kind of CRM of buildings and meter readings. So a lot of manual entry. Again, if it was once a month or once every couple of weeks, it's not going to be a big issue. But when you have 10 meter readings per building and it has to happen on a regular basis, it's very difficult to maintain a kind of a clean, simplified workflow. So the way that, again, we thought about it was, how do we make it very intuitive and easy for, one, the contractor to do the meter reading, and two, to save significant time for the D2 team in processing that information. And again, Power Apps was an ideal solution for that. It connects into Power Automate to support with certain automation connections, such as the ability to use AI to extract the meter reading instantly, and also to push that information into separate systems. And we also log that information into SharePoint, so it doesn't have to go through another spreadsheet that's hard to manage and maintain. So in terms of the solution, very, very simple. So I'm just going to go over to here. So what D2 do is they add now a QR code to every meter reading. So they would stick this QR code onto a meter, and then they have the contractor take out the app. So they wouldn't need to even log into the app. So I'm going to give you an example of how it works. So I'm just going to log into the meeting, so you can see my phone. Okay, and if I share my screen, you can see, yeah, great. So the contractor would simply go in and go to the QR code, and you can see the QR code shows the Power Apps deep link for that particular meter reading. So if I go in, it takes me to the Power App, and it will show me the title demo meter, the API link that will process the information into the separate CRM. You can see the submission date and the meter inspector have been auto-populated. I can then go in, take a picture. So if we go take a photo, you can see I can look at the meter, take a photo, and I can then extract the meter reading, either write it down or use the AI functionality, and then it will update the meter reading number with 342610. I am in a demo environment, so it can take a little bit of time to process that, but I'll just give you an example, so how it would populate. So you can see as an example here, how it's added. This is also editable as well, so you can change it if the AI doesn't process it correctly. And then once that has been submitted, it gets automatically added to into the SharePoint site. So you can see the information being added here for the D2 team to see that, so that they can use that data how they wish. Great. So hopefully that has been useful to demonstrate the different ways you can use Power Apps to streamline certain workflows that you have that tend to be quite manual and cumbersome for individual stakeholders, and can support you in kind of saving significant time in those particular workflows. So thank you for being present for this demo, and I hope you found it useful. So I'm going to pass it back over to Phil.
Thanks, Anish. Just 1 second. Yeah, thank you very much. That was super helpful. Yeah, just a couple of things before we dive into questions. I don't think anyone yet has come up with any app ideas that we could chat around. But if you're still thinking of them, do put them in the chat. That'd be great. Our next webinar, so we've already got this one in scheduled. It's already out on Eventbrite. So if you are thinking of attending, then do scan that QR code there. It's on Thursday, the 26th of February, sorry. And it's an interesting one because so last week we launched Swoop.je, which is a mortgage comparison website for the island, and it brings in like 300, 400 different configurations of mortgage into this interface that you can then filter them. And the cool thing about the project was it was completely done using vibe coding. So we used a platform called Replit to do it, and absolutely I can honestly say that not one single line of code was written by hand. So something that could not have been done even a year ago, definitely not 2 years ago. And it's out on production. It's getting great feedback, and yeah, it was just done, basically created in less than a month. As well as the platform being vibe coded, we're using AI to scrape the information from the different lender websites and structure that information. We used AI to create the promotional video. Yeah.
Bill, your screen is blank.
Oh.
Just wanted to give. So.
Thank you very much. Sorry, there is a QR code, honestly. No.
There we are.
1 second. Yeah, let me just get to the right slide. Maybe this one. Right. There we go. Sorry, yeah, sorry about that. There's the QR code. So yes, we created this mortgage comparison website, and yeah, even the video, the commercial was all AI generated. The legal documentation, all of it was generated with AI, with a little bit of human interaction, obviously, intervention. But yeah, should be an interesting webinar. And yeah, what the thing is, what does this mean for your business, and are there opportunities that lie that you could create tools like this internally within your business or externally for the island, which previously haven't been possible because of the cost and time implications. Also, just another thing, so the 2 demos that Anish did earlier, they were successful in gaining productivity grant support, which meant that they get 50% funding for the project. Jersey Business will match up to so projects up to £150,000. They'll provide 75 grand for them. The grant applications reopen on the 31st of January, which is in a couple of weeks, isn't it? And there's £2.6 million up for grabs. So we would be more than happy to help any of you people on this webinar to create your applications, whether we're involved in it or not. We've done quite a few of these now, and we've got a really good process. So happy to jump on the call with you, go through what it is you're trying to achieve, and then we can definitely help you create a solid application. So I think that's it from me. Anish, have we got any people coming up with ideas?
Well, I've got some questions connected to ideas. So Lee Carpenter mentioned around timesheets for employees, but there is also a question which is how might charities build or use Power Apps to assist with this endeavor? So I think that's with the specific kind of question around payments. So processing for payments, which then need to be checked, verified, and processed for payments. So yeah, I think that's a very strong use case that I've seen quite consistent around Power Apps, is to support tasks, and one being around timesheets and payroll, and to ensure that that information is processed to the right people in the right way for them to easily go into their accounting system to have that data ready for them to update. So for example, you could have kind of a Power Apps kind of time tracking sheet, and once it's been submitted, you can then process that information into, let's say, Xero, where it will update the payroll in a certain way, ready for approval. There is another question from Raj, who says, tell us a bit more about the grant, please.
Yeah, I'll do that one then, Anish. So last year and this year there was a business productivity grant, £2.6 million, £2.3 million open to Jersey businesses. To be applicable, you have to have I think minimum of 2 employees on the island. And the grant is for anything that is going to increase your productivity as a business. So definitely the things that we've been talking around today would certainly do that. And you've just got to demonstrate that. So it could be a product like we're talking about here, a tool. It can be for software licenses. A lot of people are looking into Copilot licenses and putting that as part of their application process. Yeah, and it's an online portal. It opens on the 31st of the month, and you can submit. It's a relatively simple submission process. You just have to look at the different business areas, like how is this going to improve our processes internally? Is it going to lead to more sales? Is it various questions? And then, yeah, you submit that application and then you'll hear back from them. Last year, it was open for about 3 or 4 months, then it closed down, and then it opened again just towards the end of the year. So if I was you, I would get onto it as soon as possible and submit your application in early February. Does that help, Raj?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
So we have another question from Alistair. So I'm just going back up to the ones that we've missed. So in your experience, how open is the Jersey professional services industry to adopting AI in the workplace, and what are the key challenges?
Well, that's a big old question, isn't it? Yeah, key challenges are always around getting employee engagement, I suppose. A lot of people are afraid of AI and what potential impact on their job. But personally, I don't. I believe you should be open to AI, and it's going to assist you in what you do, rather than be something that is going to take over your job. And it kind of frees up people to concentrate on higher value work and the things that AI can't do, like building relationships and that kind of thing. I think generally in Jersey, it's starting to trickle in. I think we were having, like last year, we were having a lot of meetings with businesses, and they were like, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, and they weren't coming back to us. But now, yeah, I think it's hotting up, and people are definitely interested, not just interested, but taking action and starting to look at ways that AI can be integrated into their business. I would always say, as I said before, like, the thing is to start small. And if you like, look, what's our AI strategy, and then I think that gets a bit overwhelming for everyone. So start on a small project, something that clearly delivers value, that isn't going to take a long time to implement. Start on that. That will build confidence amongst your team. They'll understand it better, and then they'll probably come forward with other ideas to look at additional projects, and maybe bigger and better ones. So yeah, that would be the approach that I would take.
Great. I would add a couple of things. Completely concur with Phil there, especially with taking it small and finding a clear use case and use value, and maybe doing a bit more work on finding where it would fit better than jumping straight in and being like, we need to learn this AI stuff, let's just jump in and figure it out. That can work, but it can be quite something that leads to a lot of fatigue from a lot of people that I've seen. But if you know where you see AI support you, that would be the first step. The other thing that I would like to add, when you have a bigger team, naturally you're going to have some people who are a little bit skeptical or hesitant or even concerned or worried with AI. We're working on a number of projects now with big organizations, and one of our approaches, which I'd recommend with your teams as well, is to work with the team members and adapt the solution towards making them not only comfortable but see the value. So we've sometimes gone in with some assumptions of how the solution might be, but by doing the discoveries, talking to teams, understanding where and how it could add value to them and how it can overcome their resistance, has definitely supported and strengthened the embrace of AI as a solution that supports them rather than a solution that, as we hear often, replaces them. And I firmly believe it's not about replacing, it's definitely about assisting individuals. And I think if we can see it from the perspective of an assistant supporting rather than something that replaces, I think it really helps add more value to individuals and the team. We do have another question, which is if there are any learning resources, courses, or exams that you would recommend for staff that are looking to improve on their skills on Power Apps and Power Platform. I guess I can take that.
Yeah, I mean,
so yes, yeah, go on, Phil.
I was just going to say, I did yesterday. I found a really great video, like an introductory video on the Power Platform, which is quite good. It was only sort of 15 minutes, but yeah, I mean, there's some great resources out on YouTube. But I don't know, Anish, if you've obviously done a few Microsoft exams, but yeah, what's your finding?
Yeah, I would say the Microsoft Learn app kind of suite of resources is a great place to start, just to get your head around the idea behind Power Apps and looking at it, certain use cases that you can think about. But there are online courses out there, things on like Udemy or like Phil said, YouTube has great examples of use cases in action that you can see what the potential is. But I've used a lot of courses on Udemy to understand the more practical kind of course, the practical aspect of the learning of the Power Apps platform entirely. My kind of go-to is Udemy, taking on a course there, and then aligning it to maybe some of the key courses that Microsoft provide, so I get a full knowledge of it. But if you're looking to just get your hands a little bit dirty with Power Apps, YouTube is a great place for certain use cases that you might have.
Okay, there's another question here. Is there a separate LLM API cost to process the image in the app? So that must have been referring to the computer vision element there. I mean, a good question. If you could answer that one, Anish, as well, and maybe go into a little bit more of the costs associated with Power Apps.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, there is costs with the AI extraction. We use Azure AI Foundry, so we create an endpoint, but it's minimal. It's like it's less than the pennies for each image that it's been extracted. So it's really, really, really low cost when it comes to image extraction, and it's, yeah, it is a separate cost. When it comes to the Power Apps licensing, so to be a developer on the Power Apps, you need just one license. So you don't need a license for everybody, just one license to develop on Power Apps. For people to use the Power Apps application, then it would require an external guest license for that user. So it's not a developer license, it's an external user license, and the cost differs between the two. I don't have it on me right now, but it's something that we can definitely follow up after the webinar and provide. But it's definitely on the Microsoft website for the payments.
Microsoft pricing can be quite complicated, isn't it? But yeah, we have this issue, but you can go pay as you go, can't you, with a lot of the tokens, which is, yeah, as you said,
yeah,
peanuts unless it's being used really, really heavily. Yeah. Okay. Lee Carpenter has just put there deeplearning.ai as a useful resource for training, I imagine. So thank you for that one, Lee. Any other questions? I think we've covered all of them. My mouse has just died on me, which is great. Fantastic. Okay, I think that's probably it then. Brilliant. Thank you very much for everyone for attending. If you do have any questions, then do reach out. Head to the Blue Llama website, bluellama.co.uk. Yeah, and yeah, have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And just to add, if you do have any ideas that you have for use cases, do drop us an email. We'll be happy to explore them with you. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.